There is a moment when your dog stops being just a part of your life. It does not happen all at once, and it does not feel dramatic. It happens quietly, in small changes you barely notice at first. And by the time you realize it, everything already feels different. It starts in the way you pay attention to them. You begin noticing their movements without thinking about it. The sound of their footsteps, the way they enter a room, the way they settle. None of it feels important, but all of it stays with you. Then something shifts in how you structure your day. You begin adjusting small things without even realizing why. Timing, routines, even decisions start to include them automatically. Not as a responsibility, but as something that feels natural. At first, it feels like care. You are making sure they are comfortable, safe, and understood. But slowly, it becomes something deeper than that. You are not just caring for them anymore. You are orienting around them. Now watch what happens in quiet moments. When nothing is happening and there is no reason to interact. Your awareness still returns to them again and again. Not because something is wrong, but because they have become part of how you experience everything. This is where the shift becomes clearer. Your dog is no longer just present in your environment. They become part of your emotional baseline. The way you feel when they are near begins to define the space itself. Then something else appears on top of that. You begin noticing their state before your own. Whether they are calm, alert, or unsettled. And without thinking, your behavior adjusts around it. That adjustment is not forced. It is not something you decide to do. It happens automatically, because your focus is already shifted. And once that happens, the relationship begins to deepen in a way that is hard to reverse. Now look at what happens when you leave them alone. Even for a short time, something feels slightly off. Not dramatic, not overwhelming. Just a subtle absence that was not there before. That feeling tells you something important. Your dog is no longer just part of your routine. They have become part of your internal world. And that changes how everything else feels. Over time, this continues to build. Small decisions begin to revolve around them without effort. Where you go, how long you stay, what you prioritize. None of it feels like a sacrifice. Because it does not feel like you are giving something up. It feels like you are aligning with something that matters more. And that is where most people do not realize what has happened. Your dog has become your reference point. Not in a controlling way, but in a quiet and consistent way. They are included in how you think, how you move, and how you decide. Now here is where it becomes even more subtle. You begin reading them without effort. Small changes in posture, movement, or attention become obvious to you. And you respond without needing to think about it. That level of awareness does not come from training. It comes from connection. And connection at that level reshapes how you experience your dog entirely. But there is another side to this that most people do not consider. When your dog becomes your whole world, your world begins to narrow around them. Not in a negative way, but in a focused way. Other things matter slightly less. Other priorities feel less important. And your emotional energy begins to center around one presence. That presence becomes constant. Most people do not notice when this happens. They only feel the result of it later. The closeness, the attachment, the sense that their dog understands them in a way nothing else does. And by then, it is already complete. The shift has already happened. Your dog is no longer just part of your life. They have become part of how you experience life itself. The moment your dog becomes your whole world is not loud. It is not obvious. It happens quietly, in ways that feel completely normal. And that is exactly why it changes everything. And over time, something else begins to happen that most people never talk about. Your awareness of your dog becomes constant in a way you don't fully recognize at first. You begin noticing the smallest changes in their behavior without trying. A shift in posture, a different look, a change in energy. And those small signals begin to matter more than anything else around you. You start adjusting yourself before anything even happens. Not reacting, but anticipating. Your behavior shifts slightly to keep things calm, to keep things stable. And you do it without thinking about why. This is where the connection becomes something deeper than routine or habit. It becomes instinctive. Your dog does not need to ask for your attention anymore. Because your attention is already there. Now look at what happens when something feels off with them. Even slightly. You notice it immediately, even if nothing obvious has changed. And that feeling stays with you longer than it should. That is not just awareness. That is emotional alignment. Your internal state begins to respond to theirs without delay. And once that starts happening, the bond moves into something much stronger. But there is a side to this that most people never consider. When your dog becomes your whole world, your emotional balance becomes tied to them. Not in an unhealthy way, but in a very real way. Their calm becomes your calm. Their tension becomes your tension. And your day begins to shift based on something outside of yourself. That is when the relationship reaches its deepest point. Not when your dog listens perfectly. Not when everything feels easy. But when your connection starts shaping how you experience everything else. And by then, there is no clear line anymore. No separation between where your world ends and theirs begins. Just a shared space that feels natural, stable, and complete. That is why most people never notice when it happens. Because it does not feel like a change. It feels like something that was always there. Even though it wasn't.